So, hi, John. Were you on the English language video this morning? The
I was.
ELP.
The ELP, I was, Rick. I was.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Were
what
you
did
on
you
it?
hear? Of course I was. You sent me the link and I found the link and everyone got me the
Wow.
link. And it's like everyone's
Wow.
talking English language
So,
proficiency, which you and I frequently lapse,
so you actually listened
in.
to me for a change? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I said lots of people forwarded the information, many reputable ones.
Yes, yes. Yes, no, it was a good webinar. It was a good webinar. Lots of good information, but unfortunately still nothing finite, I guess you could say, in how and what the direction totally is with regards to CVSA officers. They're not sharing that information at this time.
Well, I thought there was two really interesting points. One was
Yes.
the representative from the CVSA repeatedly
Yep.
stated that the questions have to be ones that one would regularly get asked during the
Correct.
course of a roadside
Yep.
inspection.
Correct.
And secondly, and I think this is probably the most important one from a carrier management perspective, the actual question
Hmm.
that was asked and the reason that the driver is being placed out of service has to be recorded on the CVI.
Yes. Yes. There has to be detailed information there. So the CVSA officer is going to be required to back up their story with lots of detailed information.
Which provides you the opportunity to
Yep.
potentially do a good
Yep.
data queue
Yep. Data
if
queue.
you have
Exactly.
the
Yep.
the the necessary background
Right.
information. But
Right.
that's not going to help you at the roadside because we pretty well determined that, hey, if your driver's out of service because he or she can't speak English
Yep.
according to the officer,
Yep. Yep.
you have to address that deficiency.
Right. Right. And there's two levels to this assessment process, I guess you could say. There's the can you speak? Can you converse with me? If I'm the officer and you're the driver, can you converse with me in understandable English language? Can we have a conversation? And if we can
Yep.
pass that, then we're going to go on to step two. However, if you can't pass that initial phase, you are instantly put out of service. We're
Well, that
done. We're
makes
not going
sense,
further.
right? I
Yep,
mean, you
exactly.
got to meet the first one. But interestingly enough, and
Yep,
I thought this was relevant, you can get the question wrong,
yep, yeah,
but not be placed out of service because getting the
correct,
question wrong and being able to give the wrong answer means you
correct.
understand the question and you can converse.
Correct. Correct. It's not about what you know. It's about can we converse in the English language? That's what
Now,
it's all
mind you,
about.
you could open yourself up to a different charge for not, but
Yep.
anyway. So, in a backwards introduction, John and I were talking just immediately before this off script, and I said, "Wait a second, we're talking about something that's really relevant. Let's capture it. Let's kind of take a step back now and
Yep.
say, hey, welcome to Compliance Clips. I'm Rick Morgan,
Okay.
and you are
John Farquhar,
co-hosts."
co-host. We are. We're co-hostess.
And we wanted to cover that because ELP's all over everywhere. It's in the
Yep.
media, it's in the dialogues, it's in the trades. There's all kinds of rumors going out there. I thought it was really interesting to hear
Yeah.
the comment that was made by the representative from the ATA about the misinformation that is being
Yes.
distributed out there. And
Yes.
he says,
Lots of it.
keep off of social media. If you
Yep.
want to know, if you want to know what's going on other than compliance clips,
Yep.
keep off of social media because
Right.
you're probably going to get misled.
Correct.
But
Correct.
we wanted to pick this up because that was kind of like one of the last things we were talking about. And now it's
Hmm.
summer and nobody wants really heavy conversations
Hmm.
going on.
Hmm.
And like we're going to be struggling to get people
Hmm.
to drink their
Hmm.
coffee because it's
Yep.
too warm right now in our
Yep.
heat
Iced
wave.
coffee. Iced coffee.
Iced coffee.
Yeah,
Well,
iced
there you
coffee.
go.
Yes.
But what do we
There you
want to
go.
talk about today? And we're going to keep it short and sweet because we've
Yeah.
used up a few minutes covering off the ELP thing. But you and I have had several conversations about other areas, and in light of the fact that it's a summer, and in light of
Hmm.
the fact that we don't want to get into anything too heavy,
Hmm.
of the things we've been chatting about, what were you thinking?
Implement. I just conducted a drivers meeting on Saturday, and was very impressed. Ownership operation was at the meeting. A number of
Yes,
drivers were there.
awesome.
A lot of drivers new to the organization within the last couple of years, I would say. And the owner, during the presentation of this drivers meeting, there was a lot of talk about helping you to be a better driver, rewarding you for being a better driver. So these were conversations these drivers hadn't had before with their previous employers. So this was evidence we're wanting to change the culture here, and we want you to join us in this change, and we want you to stay for the long term. And it was really good because when you looked at the group of drivers, a lot of young guys, 30s.
Yep.
A number of them newly married, maybe got little kids, babies on the way or here already, so they were looking to get stability. And here you had an owner that goes, I want stability too. And if we can work together, we can both have stability and we can have prosperity as well.
You know what? And I think you just touched on one of the things that you and I have talked about, which is how do you conduct quality corrective actions, professional development discussions in such a way as to realize the outcome that you like. So
I have an example of that.
Do you?
One of the drivers, it was interesting, one of the drivers there prior to us starting the meeting, the safety manager introduced me to this young man. I think he's 30 or 31 years old. And he said, Joel started with us several months ago, so he hasn't been a full year. And his Samsara score was 17. So we know with Samsara, the lower, the worse.
Worse.
Right?
That's right. Yes.
And in 3 months' time, his score is now 70.
Nice.
So, and what was interesting was the driver, when we had a quick conversation, he made it very clear. There was a lot of things he did not know that he could do differently to improve his score. And once somebody showed him not over several months, within a few short weeks, he turned it from 17 to 70, like in a very short period. And he goes, my goal is to get over 80. And that's what he told me. And I'm like, good for you. Awesome. And the safety manager goes, we're meeting regularly. We're having conversations. And he goes, we're not having difficult conversations. We're going, how do we make you better here in these areas? And he's going, enlighten me and empower me on what I can do differently to change my behavior.
This is great because you're going exactly where I was going. And, we have these conversations with drivers when we're trying to assist and build what I call the true professional driver, right?
Yep.
Like the type of driver that we're talking about in the Red Seal initiative. And when you've done this when you go into a carrier that's got operating and safety performance issues and they've reached out and they're looking for guidance. It means you've got to have these conversations. You've got to introduce it almost without fail. None of those conversations are being had, or if they have been had, they've been held the wrong way where they're, the yelling jackboot type of, negative one. And one of the things that I say, because I'm a bit of a baseball fan, is I say, do you guys in the audience happen to remember the Jose bat flip?
I remember that.
And like everyone remembers that one, kind of an iconic moment in history.
Sure.
And I say to them, so I want you to just think about something like, here's the guy who led the American League in hits and was one of the leaders in the role that he played, and he was getting something like $18 million a year. I said, you know what he did after every single plate appearance? He went and he got the video of his plate appearance and he watched it to see how he could get better.
Yep.
So I want you guys to think about how we are going to use the video and the telematics data that's coming out of your vehicle, not to punish you, not to give you negative guidance, but to say, hey, look, if you were to do this, your outcomes would get better. And the outcomes in our industry, you want to hit a home run, it's like don't hit a car.
Yes, exactly.
But in the days of nuclear verdicts, the financial outcomes are getting pretty close to what a sports player gets paid there, and what a plaintiff might get as a result of a nuclear accident, getting pretty close. So there's a reason to invest in having coaching.
Right. And I was going to say that's the key word, because in my driver's meetings this weekend, one of the things we talked about was guys were going, well, we just got to practice. We practice. I said, there's that adage, that old phrase, practice makes perfect. No, it doesn't. If you're still doing the same old thing, you're not going to get better. Perfect practice will make you perfect. And how do I get perfect on my practice? Just like you said, utilizing the technology. Go back and look at the footage. What did I do differently here that I didn't do there? Or what could I do different to make it better outcome? Look at the telematics data. Okay, I'm doing too much speed in these areas. I need to tone it down here or whatever. Using that information to help improve your practice to make you that better driver.
And almost without fail, actually, never, what does every successful team have at the leadership level?
Coach, management that is involved. The coach, assistant coaches, coach.
And those guys are looking at what the team members are doing, and they're saying, hey, you know what? And the beauty of telematics data these days is it allows you to take individuals such as your young man and say, look, this is what you're doing in this scenario.
Yeah.
And you're scoring at this level. You said you want to realize an 80. Mm-hmm. Let me show you what a driver who scores 80 is doing in these scenarios.
Exactly.
Right? So you can look at how a little bit gentler on the throttle.
Yep.
Little bit slower off of the lights, swinging a little bit wider to the right on your left turns, making sure that you're closing off that inside lane on your right turns, right?
Yep.
All of these are critical issues. So in our lighter tone, leadership and coaching and development will do more to improve your bottom line, reduce your accidents than almost any other approach.
Yep. These are all these learning opportunities, and using it with a coach can turn it into a very, very positive approach.
That's right. So we're looking at today's mistake, and we're saying, what could we do differently next time? When we're faced with a comparable set of circumstances that will change the outcome to a favorable one.
Yep. Well, and those little things don't have to be anything serious. They could be very minor, but if I can change all the little minor ones, that can prevent a big one.
Well, I remember, interesting you say that. I remember I got my tractor trailer license a really, really long time ago when it was offered at Fanshawe College by the Ontario Safety League. And there was a gentleman there, and in the very first class that we had, and so we had classes, and then we had the in-cab. This was all well before MELT, by the way. And in the very first class, he says to a bunch of young guys, and I was still in university. I was, only just in my early 20s. And he says, how many of you have been driving down the road and all of a sudden kind of like a car zips by you that you didn't know was coming? And everyone put up their hands except for the people who didn't want to tell the truth. And, they just sat there.
Exactly. Everybody's had this.
He goes, that's just an accident waiting to happen that you didn't know about.
Yep.
And
agreed.
And you stop and think about it, because particularly as a young 20-something, you're only looking.
Yeah,
you're only
exactly.
looking forward, right?
Yes.
But I never forgot that comment, because he went on to build that and say, if you're actually doing the 10-second sweep and you're looking mirror front, mirror down, gauges up, if you're doing that, you'll see that guy coming.
Long way back.
2 minutes before he gets to you, because he's behaving like that well before he gets to you, right? And he goes, and if you're looking far enough ahead, you're going to see the guy who's going to potentially be causing you an accident or slowing down so that you've got enough time to do it. And those two approaches and thoughts have guided so much of how I've operated a vehicle ever since.
But you don't have to wait 30, 40 years to get that experience. You can listen to folks like Rick and I and go, oh, I heard that. Just like you'd said, that guy had told you, if you've been paying attention, you'd see that coming 2 minutes ago, right? Learn from those opportunities, and you don't have to learn from your own mistakes.
which is where coaching and development comes into
Yep.
place, because now you
Exactly.
can share from your telematics data and from your videos
Hmm.
how you, as a new or younger driver, or even a seasoned veteran, because Jose Bautista was
Yep.
definitely a seasoned
Yep.
veteran when he was
Yep.
going in there, can get better by being willing and open to
Hmm.
hearing
Hmm. Hmm.
how to improve.
Yeah.
And being willing and open and hearing how to improve is really dependent on the person
Yes.
who's approaching
Yes.
you and how they're
Yes.
approaching you. So
Yep.
our kind of light topic for today, after
Yep.
bouncing all around these things, is for our safety managers out there to just think,
Hmm.
you're a coach.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
shouldn't be a disciplinarian
No.
until it's absolutely
No.
the very, very, very
Right.
last
Yep.
option, where essentially you're going to be inviting someone to
Yep.
experience their enjoyment
Yep.
elsewhere.
Yep.
Every other interaction should be one where you're coaching and you're developing and
Hmm.
you're guiding,
Hmm.
because you know what, we're working together as a team,
Yep.
and we're going to get better results, higher incomes,
Yep.
better business,
Yep.
when we're all pulling towards the
We're
same goal.
one. You know what? Well, it was funny. At the meeting on Saturday, there was one driver who had a score of 97 on Samsara.
Hmm.
Okay. The safety manager had said that he wasn't in the room that day, but he had said how he had a meeting with that driver and he congratulated on him. And the driver put his hand up and said, "No, stop. I'm not good enough yet. I want to get to 100. How do I get to 100?" And that was fabulous, because they just put a big grin on the safety manager's face to go, "I can help you with that. Let's go."
Hey, thanks for tuning in. We hope you found today's materials to be useful and you can put them to work. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. And if you've got questions from today's material, or maybe you're just looking to improve your safety and compliance game, please feel free to reach out to either me or John. And remember, you can't manage what you don't monitor. The key to compliant profitability is just one phone call away. So until next time, put the phone down while you drive and keep your eyes on the prize.